There's something different about people who watch television turn from black and white to color. In a world where visual upgrades happen constantly and are quickly forgotten, these individuals witnessed the most dramatic transformation in visual media consumption in human history, and it shaped their psychology in ways that created the most visually aware and technology-appreciative generation ever to exist. Let's start with something that's impossible to recreate today. Picture yourself at 11 years old in September of 1965. Your family has saved for months to buy your first color television set, and tonight NBC is broadcasting Bonanza in full color. You've been watching this show in black and white for years, but tonight you're going to see the Ponderosa Ranch, the Nevada landscape, and the Cartwright family's clothing in colors you've only imagined. The moment that color picture blooms across your television screen, everything changes. The desert isn't just light and dark anymore, it's golden sand and red rock formations. The horses aren't just different shades of gray, they're chestnuts and bays and paints with distinctive markings. The sky has actual blue in it, stretching endlessly over mountains that show purple and brown and green instead of just shadows. But here's what made this moment psychologically profound, beyond just seeing prettier pictures. At 11 years old, you were witnessing technology making a quantum leap forward in real time. This wasn't gradual improvement or slight enhancement. This was the visual world suddenly becoming twice as rich, twice as detailed, twice as engaging as it had been the day before. Think about what happened to your developing brain during those first color television broadcasts. Every program you'd been watching for years suddenly revealed details and beauty that had been invisible to you before. Characters you thought you knew completely turned out to have blonde hair or brown eyes or red coats that changed your entire perception of who they were. This created what media psychologists call technological revelation psychology. You learned that what seems complete and satisfactory today might be revealed as incomplete tomorrow when technology advances. That there are always layers of experience waiting to be discovered through human innovation and improvement. Your parents were as amazed as you were, maybe more so. They had lived their entire adult lives with black and white television, and suddenly they were seeing broadcast images that were more colorful and detailed than many of the movies they remembered from their youth. Your father kept adjusting the color controls, trying to make the picture look as realistic as possible. But you noticed something interesting about your own reaction. The black and white programs you'd loved didn't suddenly seem terrible or unwatchable. They just seemed like a different kind of experience. You could appreciate both the stark drama of black and white cinematography and the rich realism of color broadcasting. You were learning to value technological progress without dismissing what came before. This developed what innovation psychologists call appreciative technology transition psychology. Instead of becoming impatient with older technology, once newer technology appeared, you learned to appreciate both for their different strengths. Instead of assuming that newer always means better in every situation, you developed a nuanced understanding of when different technologies serve different purposes. Now imagine watching your favorite programs make the transition from black and white to color over the following months. Some shows looked spectacular in color, with costumes and sets that had been designed with color broadcasting in mind. Other shows looked strange or artificial, because they had been created for black and white viewing, and the color revealed makeup, set construction, and lighting choices that worked fine in monochrome but looked odd in full color. You were getting an education in how technology changes affect not just what you see, but how content gets created. The television producers had to learn new skills for color broadcasting. Actors had to adjust their makeup and costume choices. Set designers had to think about color coordination and lighting in completely new ways. This taught you that technological advances don't just improve existing experiences. They create entirely new categories of experience that require new kinds of expertise and creativity. That innovation affects everyone in a system, not just the end users who benefit from the improvement. The transition to color television also taught you about economics and family decision-making in ways that shaped your understanding of how new technology gets adopted. Your family hadn't bought a color television set immediately when they became available. They had waited until the price came down, until more programming was being broadcast in color, and until it seemed like a reasonable investment rather than an expensive luxury. You learned that being first to adopt new technology isn't always smart. But being too late to adopt it means missing out on experiences that enhance daily life. That timing matters when it comes to embracing technological change. That families have to balance desire for improvement with practical considerations of cost and necessity. This developed what technology economists call strategic adoption psychology. You learned to evaluate new technologies not just based on how impressive they are, but based on whether they provide enough improvement to justify their cost at any particular time. You developed patience with gradual technology adoption rather than demanding immediate access to every innovation. But perhaps most importantly, the transition to color television taught you about the relationship between technological possibility and creative expression. Shows that had been designed for black and white had to adapt to color broadcasting, but entirely new kinds of shows became possible once color was standard. Nature documentaries became dramatically more engaging when viewers could see the actual colors of animals, plants, and landscapes. Variety shows could use colorful costumes, lighting, and set designs that had been meaningless in black and white broadcasting. Sports broadcasts became easier to follow when teams wore different colored uniforms instead of different shades of gray. You learned that new technology doesn't just improve existing content, it enables entirely new forms of content that weren't possible before. That innovation creates opportunities for creativity that nobody had imagined when the technology was being developed. The color television transition also gave you a unique perspective on how different generations respond to technological change. Your grandparents might have been amazed by color broadcasting, but still preferred radio for news and music. Your parents were enthusiastic about color television, but cautious about the expense and complexity. You and your siblings accepted color as the natural evolution of television and could not imagine going back to black and white for new programming. This taught you that each generation has its own relationship with technological progress based on what they experienced during their formative years. That resistance to new technology often comes from satisfaction with current technology rather than inability to appreciate improvement. That technological change affects different age groups differently based on their previous experiences and expectations. Years passed, color television became standard. Black and white broadcasting became obsolete, except for old movies and artistic choices. But something from witnessing that transition stayed with you forever. An understanding that technology improvements can be dramatic rather than gradual, that innovation affects entire industries and creative communities, and that timing matters when adopting new capabilities. Decades later, when new visual technologies appear, you approach them with wisdom earned from watching one major transition happen in real time. You understand that revolutionary improvements are possible but not predictable. That new technology creates new creative possibilities that nobody anticipated. That adoption timing affects both cost and satisfaction. Now, imagine trying to explain to your grandchildren what it was like when television suddenly gained color. How seeing The Wizard of Oz transition from sepia Kansas to Technicolor Oz was not just a movie effect. It was similar to what happened in your living room when color broadcasting began. How witnessing technology transform entertainment in real time taught you to appreciate both innovation and tradition. This isn't nostalgia for more dramatic technological times. This is recognition of a fundamentally different relationship with technological progress and visual media consumption. You learned that major technology transitions change entire industries, not just individual experiences. That appreciation for improvement doesn't require dismissal of what came before. When younger people take technological advances for granted or become impatient with gradual improvements, you carry knowledge that could help them understand. You've seen how dramatic progress actually happens, how creative communities adapt to new capabilities, and how timing affects the value of technological adoption. Your color television childhood taught you that the most impressive technological changes often happen gradually and then suddenly. That innovation serves creativity, not just convenience. That witnessing major technological transitions gives you perspective on both the power and the pace of human improvement. Those evenings watching black and white transform into color weren't just entertainment upgrades. They were lessons in technological appreciation, adoption, timing, and the relationship between innovation and creative expression that shaped how you evaluate and embrace progress for the rest of your life. Drop a comment and share your color TV memory. Do you remember the first color program you watched? How did your family decide when to buy a color television set? Did black and white shows suddenly seem different once you'd seen color broadcasting? And if this resonated with you, hit like and subscribe, because we dive deep into the psychology that explains how witnessing technological transitions shaped the remarkable technology, wisdom, and appreciation you carry today. See you next time.